Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 12th, it's January. On January 12th, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use in my own life, and the philosophies of life I talk about are the precise philosophies I personally guide my own actions by on a day-to-day level. Now, today's going to be a little bit bumpy, just to give you the heads up. Okay, I designed this stream. The intention was that we would have people in it. And before I get into that, Ferret, how are you? Glad you could join us. Because I hit a crossroads today. Actually, I hit a crossroads over the last running around in circles over the last 36 hours here. Going, is there much point to continue this? Now, that being said, I know I've had a lot of people that have reached out and said, look, do your best not to stop. This sort of thing happens. Well, this sort of thing does. I appreciate that, Ferret. And, I do have somebody coming in shortly that is going to be pulling, they're going to be looking in the background and watching for problem children. Now, clearly, this sort of thing happens. To be blunt, Ferret, yes. As soon as he gets in, he is going to be going through. Okay, he's going to keep an eye on things. I really wish that the people on this planet actually didn't do things backwards. But he is going to be watching for. He knows how to find the people that are just coming in to play havoc. And I'm going to put the moderators in here to make absolutely certain the problem children are removed. I wish I didn't have to do that, but Steve, how you doing? Let's start with the obvious part. We have Ferret in with the gold, and Steve Knox, you are now in with the silver. I come from a very different world, apparently, because from my standpoint, it's very simple. Karmic law is just cut and dried. You do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Well, that's the problem. And this is the one thing, Ferret's just asking, what if one of the trolls actually wanted to listen to what you have to say, though? This is what we have to watch for. Okay, because it's one of the reasons why it has been suggested by a number of people that I make comments only available. LA, how are we doing? LA, you are in with the bronze. The reality of it is, it was suggested by a number of people that I turn around and make comments in the chat room only available to people that are subscribed. Well, the reality is, in my world, and this is where I run into problems, not everybody wants to subscribe, yet they still want to have a comment because they happen to be there. I do not desire to create a problem where people feel they have to subscribe to say anything. That, to me, is just the wrong way of doing it. So I'm going to do what I can to avoid that little problem. Let's see. No, that is not what I need. There we are. What do we got here? Okay, and there goes one, and I hope that, let's see here. Now that takes care of that, and this should be shadow. Yeah. No, we leave that there. Good, so I've got that set up. So what I'm going to have to be doing, because I react, quite frankly, to the paranormal world. Many people work in it. I am in a lot of ways was born to it. Now, I'm not about to where are we here? Whoop, I don't want to do that. You know, the reality of what we're looking at here is a situation that I am by no means content with. And if it hadn't been for the number of you that have actually reached out and said, look, see what you can do to keep going. Because I've had a lot of comments that have said, uh, you know, that have said, you're helping a lot. And I do not feel like leaving people stranded. On the other hand, I'm not about to have another heart attack over it. What do we got here? Yeah, neat part there, ferret, is I've never actually personally had a pet ferret, but I did have one that used to come and say hi. He kept getting out of his home, out of his owner's home, and coming over to say hi to me on the balcony. Oh, they are. There's no question. I mean, a friend of mine used to have ferrets, and the one now, I don't know if this is normal. Of course, I didn't know if my friend was normal, but they they have this little issue of liking to climb into the bathtub with them. Then getting them back out of the bathtub was a bit of a problem, but I don't know if that's normal for ferrets, to be honest with you. You know, now the fact of the matter is, I came so close in the last couple of days to just going, no, I'm done. Because, and bear in mind, there's something that is very important. The reason I call it the energetic paranormal, everything that happens has an impact. Okay. It does have an impact. In my case, because of the stroke, and I can literally chalk it up to that. Prior to the stroke in 2018, it would not have mattered if somebody had pulled a gun on me and told me that they were going to do something. It just never focused. But yeah, and I do appreciate that, Storm. Storm's just keeping us up to speed. So if you watch the Storm and Shadows posting there, you'll find what he's using as guidelines. Because frankly, I don't know how to do what 3/4 of you guys know what to do with on the computer. What I did find out is I right now have 13. Well, I've got 44 other videos from prior channels of mine that I will be posting up periodically as pre-records. Okay, I won't post all 44 because some of them are date specific and therefore will not, since they're in the past by like 5 years, doesn't really matter. Christine, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. The reality of it is, from my end, I have to be aware. Okay, we're gonna slap ourselves on the back of the head to stop from stumbling. I have to be very aware that what I would like to see happen with this world, unfortunately, is not likely to be the outcome. I can see an outcome here, and I've walked through it with some of the people in this chat room. Okay, and when I mean walk through it, I've walked through it in past lives. I know where this is going. I don't expect people to believe me. Okay, that's not part of the deal here. But the one thing I am going to do my best to do, And unfortunately, we're going to have to go down a bit of a hiccup of a room. Okay. The one big thing I'm going to be looking at is finding a way to really make sure that people are looking at this going, okay, not because problem children, you guys are way better at spotting who the trolls are. I'm getting better at it. Okay. And am I going to shut down? No. But I will tell you, just in case something happens. Now, where did I get it? A couple of things here that I really want to deal with. We have Storm and Shadow. This is literally the link. Where are we? There we are. This is the link to Storm and Shadow's YouTube channel. So absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do subscribe to the channel, and then share the daylights out of the thing. Okay. Honestly, this is how we change the world. Problem is that there are 95% of the people on this planet are genuinely decent people. The unfortunate part is that other 5 to 10% are way above level where it comes to trying to creating problems. Now you think about it. If 90 to 95% of the people on this planet are decent people, why are 90 to 95% of the postings being put on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on any of the other social media channels? Why are so many of them? Who robbed who? Who stole who? When are we having a shortage of whatever? Okay. Instead of where the animal, here's animals helping animals, here's people helping people, here's a promotion that is going on. I don't mean necessarily sales. I mean, this person worked their tail feathers off and has now been boosted into a higher position in their job. Where are these celebratory things? Where are the pictures of the weddings that people are having or the graduations people are going through? If 90 to 95% of the people out there are decent people, why are so many of these decent people caught up in looking at the ones that go, or looking at and or reposting? Oh, look at these pictures. Nobody wants you to see these. The people in these are embarrassed. They don't want you seeing these, but here they are. Okay. And then we have that other neat little problem. According to the little blurbs again, the little ads that keep coming up, if I do my calculations roughly correctly, we have an interesting setup. Virtually every major industry, medical, construction, mining, marketing, virtually every industry is on the verge of collapse, according to these YouTube posts or social media posts, because, the medical industry doesn't want you knowing about this incredible hack that you can drop 30 pounds with no effort. You can turn into a muscle-bound person with no exercise. Diet won't stop you and won't help you lose weight. You got to take a pill. According to these media outlets, according to these postings, every industry is on the verge of collapse, and everybody can sit on their tail feathers and do absolutely jack in order to get financially stable and healthy. Okay, this does not add up for me. Okay, and the number of people that I get sending me messages, we can help you with your marketing for X dollars. No, you can't. Okay, I'm just starting off with you really can't, because the people that are doing that, every single one of them almost has made this claim. I've spent thousands of dollars on them and seen jack for a return. So if I sound like I come across as though I start off going, I'm not trusting people overall, I'm not kidding. But then you got to remember, number one, if we look at past lifetimes, I have been locked up for, I've been locked up for life because of having a different opinion. I have been hunted across the seven seas because of having a different way of looking at things. When I was a slave, when I was a slave owner, I was looked down upon because I refused to beat the heck out of my slaves. I've been hung. I've been through the guillotine, burned at the stake, hung on the cross. Well, hung. Spent a lot of time dangling around on places by the neck. Remember one day I got they tried to decapitate me with a guillotine. Guillotine didn't work. That was fun. So I mean, I've been through a lot, and we're talking past life. Yes, this lifetime is a whole different ball game. But I've met many of the people that I've run into in past lives. And again, I don't expect you to believe this. The reality is, I would like to see everybody in this room, like I've mentioned before, pick a goal, just one to get accomplished. Okay. And if you notice, I now have my bed back. Okay. Yes, I still use it as a workstation while I'm working. Limited room in the house. But absolutely there. What are we going? Yeah, LA's going. Some of those are hiding behind them too, instead of instead of living their best lives. Much of that stuff is garbage or deliberately put out there to demoralize people. Absolutely. Like I've mentioned, one of the things yeah, I have. And unfortunately, the one that I didn't learn well was I didn't learn how to really discern which people are going to remain above board. But yeah, I've learned an awful lot of things there, Steve. And many people have past lives. Okay, there are some lives that I've had that were extremely significant. I'm not getting into those. Okay, extremely significant, as in multiple, literally hundreds of people have literally identified me from certain past lives. Okay, and said, I remember seeing you there. Okay, and this is what we were doing. And, am I going to go into those? No. When people spot me, they'll ask me. And if somebody asks me in private and gives me something solid, if they feel they've known me from past life. Now, I remember many of my past lives. I'm actually documenting a lot of them. Okay, that's one of the things I'm working on. And I'll tell you, it was very close. I spend on live stream here, I spend what, 6, so 12, what is it, 12, anywhere from 12 to 18 hours a day, a week, setting the stage or being live on the stream. Okay, and I'm not about to start charging for it. Okay, I know the problem I run into where it comes to people coming in and going, oh, let's stir up sheep. Well, let's stir up something or let's create a problem. And I will tell you, it bothers me a lot that people do this. To me, these are the people that are extremely shallow, very, very, very immature outlooks on life, and absolutely no interest in changing their own world. These are the same ones that will sit there and go, woe is me, my life is miserable, and won't somebody else fix it? No, nobody else is going to fix it. God's not going to come down and straighten out. He gave you free will and freedom of choice for a reason. It was so he didn't have to come down and do it. Okay. I mean, you think about it. The way things have been portrayed over throughout history has been deliberately misleading. Now, I'm not going to tell you, believe me. I'll tell you flat out, don't do your own research. Okay. Now, I don't go and do a bunch of research because, quite frankly, my memories differ from a lot of what the general public is learning. Now some of you I know have been around here for a very long time. And if I know somebody's been around for a very long time, I will absolutely make sure that I pass that on and I'm just going to call it the people in the background, because some of the people, I am just simply going, look, you spot a problem, you remove it, we'll sort it out after the fact. The reality is, if you feel that you have been, let's just say a miscalculation is made and somebody drops you off the line. What was that? Don't do that. Let's say that somebody drops you off the line and you don't know why. Okay. Drop me a line. And this is the email address to get a hold of me on. Okay. This is also the email address that works for PayPal, at least usually. Now, here's the thing. I will tell you point blank, because I don't believe in hiding things. Okay, I really don't. Okay, but, and I think, I will be, in all likelihood, letting people know these are the people that have the authority to literally evict people. Now, obviously, the moderators that are in here, I put back in for a reason. Some of them I put up to the level of managing moderator. Now, I don't know, in all fairness, which is what the extra bonus is to being managing. I just know it happens to be stronger than just a straight moderator. But when you look at the paranormal world, you guys, when many of you work in it, you study it, you play around in it, I have no option. I live in the thing. Okay, this is why I turn around and go the route that I do. Okay, this is why I am doing my level best to open the door and keep it open for people. Unfortunately, many people seem to have this brilliant idea that, making things happy, making things better for people or turning the lights on is a bad thing. And here's why. The basic rule is people have been taught, make people afraid. This will make them easier to control. It may make them easier to control, but here's the kicker. You squeeze too hard, and people are going to fight back. You have people happy, and anybody out there that happens to own a business or has a home with people in it, if the people in it are happy, they will get along a lot better. Luna Sparkles, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The reality of it is, anybody that has that has their own world, you guys all, and I would lay odds that it's literally all of you, have rules around you that you go, this is the way I desire my life to run. Well, the sad reality of it is, if you desire your world to run properly, you've got to treat other people the way you desire them to treat you. Oh, okay. I was just trying to see what that little icon was that you popped up there, Lunar. The reality of my world is, when things start to go sour, I run into a major problem. Okay, because with me literally living and tied to the paranormal world, I end up reacting. Sometimes my mouth gets in the way. Absolutely. Okay, but it does affect me. And the last time it affected me, which was last week, it caused me a really neat trick. I decided another heart attack was a good idea. Okay, now I don't know about you. I know my kids are not happy with me having heart attacks. think they're more concerned about the possibility of another stroke or death. But I'm not ready to die yet, not permanently. Okay, now, where am I? Oh, what is this? Hey, ow, that hurt. AU 2147. So, the newsletter is starting to expand. I've got a few things. Oh, heavens, Steve, I check my blood pressure probably 3 or 4 times a day and have since my stroke in 2018. I've been keeping very close tabs on it. Okay. And I know when it goes off kilter. I also now I don't have a sugar monitor at home, but I do know how to tell whether or not I'm off kilter. But my blood pressure machine, and I do appreciate the thought there, Steve. This is the one I've had. This is the one I've had since 2018. You know, so I keep it handy and keep very close tabs on it. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all there, Lunar. You know, I swear for a while there, it felt like a revolving door with the ambulances around my place. You know, we used to, when I moved in here a decade back, every time you turned around, the police were here, but they were hauling out drug addicts and what have you. Now, the only time we see police in this apartment are when they're coming in to remove people that are having heart attacks or strokes or that sort of thing. Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, the sad reality, and this is why I say, I will tell you what I can. Do not take my word for it. Do your own research. And I will tell you, 90% of the time, okay, 90% of the time or better, Google Doctor is a bad move. Yeah, you noticed that too, eh, Lunar? Oh, okay, what have we got here? Ah, thank you so much there, Storm. I do appreciate it. And I'm going to have to take the time, make sure I get that moved over to the other. But the last time I tried doing that while it was live, I scrambled the stream. So I'll have to wait until afterwards to put it on my list. Where is that? Pen. This is what I call my list that I keep working with. There we go. Now, that will get done as soon as I'm off stream. Yeah, that's from what I gather. See, you grew up in a children's hospital, Lunar. I grew up in my lab. I spent from age 2 to age 5 in the military laboratories. Okay, not a fun journey. And you know, there are people that will tell me, "Oh, that's just all make believe. That's just Hollywood." I'll tell you, Hollywood has nothing on reality. Hollywood is great. Don't get me wrong. I do watch a lot of movies. Yeah, I don't doubt you can. The reality of it is that when we take a look at this world, every time something happens, now, what goes on with you guys? Would I like to see you guys all succeed? Absolutely. And some of you have come a long way. Myself, I've got a number of different projects on the go. Okay, and as you can see, I do make headway. Tonight, I finally got my bed cleared off. Okay, haven't got everything sorted that I require, but at least I got the bed cleared off. Okay, now whether that will help is anybody's guess. Yep, that would do it. Yeah, in our case, I wasn't the USAF. I mean, let's face it, I'm in Canada, but it was an air base. You know, and my father like, the thing is, I talk about past lives, I talk about past life memories, psychic phenomenon, the my lab and the abduction experiences, all of these things. Understand, from what I gather, my father had class 6 security clearance and confirmed, didn't go into detail, but confirmed what I already knew and what I was talking about on his deathbed. He literally told me, he literally apologized for keeping it a secret from me all the time I was growing up. Okay. Now, do I expect you to believe this? No, I really don't. Do I encourage people to do unto others as you desire them to do unto you? Absolutely. And the fact that I've had to turn around and bring in somebody that is, bring in a couple of people that are number one, proven to be above board and capable of looking into the security side, into the background of the people on this stream to keep the place safe, is to me absolutely disheartening. But I will tell you, if you're above board, okay, and if you're doing things right, then frankly, you got absolutely jack to worry about. Okay. There's another guy you get to worry about, another couple of people you get to worry about if you aren't above board. But I do not have any use for trying to figure out who's being honest and who isn't. With the number of people I've dealt with over the years, I respond to energy patterns, not necessarily the logic side of it. I got told by somebody one day, well, you can't paint everybody with the same brush. Actually, you really can. Okay. And yes, people will get caught in the crossfire. There are mistakes that will happen, and I'll apologize ahead of time. Mistakes will happen. If they do, drop me a line in any one of the contact points below this stream, and for that matter, below any other video I put up. Okay. Drop me a line. Absolutely. Let me know where the hiccup is, and I will absolutely look into it. Oh. Oh, good, they shut it off. Somebody, the car alarm was going off. Now, the sad reality of it is, I was hoping to not have to worry about all this stuff that everybody's going through. Talk about naive. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to worry about it, but clearly, much as this world needs an overhaul, yeah, I usually have a rotating one. Like, I've actually got a number, because I ended up with a number of emails just today, over the last day or two, of people that desired the newsletter, Positive Perspectives, in their possession, because I'm not doing it physical anymore. Okay, but I went through all my paperwork, because as you can see, it's gone. Okay, I went through all my paperwork, found the email addresses. They'll go out right after I get done stream. They're set to go already. But am I going to continue to push? This stream will remain free. Okay, I'm not about to start charging for archives. Okay, it's just not worth it to me. Number one, you don't set something and go, it's free, and go, and then when it starts to get successful, you go, oh, I know, I could make $1 at this. Not worth it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the dollar isn't worth it. I've never turned down money. Not if I know there's no strings attached. And mind you, I'm pretty cut and dried about how I deal with that. But the newsletter, we are starting to build up. I wonder if I can tell how many it is at this point. Open that up and let's pull up. Where is Positive Perspectives February? Whoop, open. Okay, that's not working well, so we'll do it this way. February, which is the one I'm working on right now. And it is, there we are. That's what I need. I've got a bunch to add to it because right now it's only got 5 pages, but I got a bunch of articles that still have to go on to it. But it is being changed. Did I get the color modified? Nope, this one I've still got to upgrade. So I will be doing, that's another thing I got to work on. But will I continue putting it out for, like I said, this is where I do the free work. Okay. Will I do free work for everything? Not a prayer, because I don't know about you, but I kind of require an income. But I am absolutely appalled with the amount that the people on this planet, that the small numbers are putting for, the amount of effort they're putting in to make life miserable. And, the stupid part is they're not making it just miserable for themselves. Oh, nice. See, now, that's just it. You like, I dispose of a lot of stuff I will turn over to people that can put it to use. I've got no qualms about turning it over to secondhand stores instead of leaving it on the street. Right. But if I know somebody can put it to use, I'll give them first dibs. Obviously, I deal on a local base where it comes to my stuff because I just don't understand this whole idea of trying to pay people together and to take it. Somehow I don't, see what that boy and what that tells me there, Lunar, is first and foremost, if somebody's leaving outside and it's going to rain, this is just plain irresponsible and lazy. Sure, maybe somebody will pick it up, but as you've just pointed out, which unfortunately I don't find comical, is somebody else has to haul it away. Now I can understand dropping it off, but dropping it off where it may well get damaged does not add up in my eyes. That's like setting a what's it called? I forget what the thing is called, but dropping empty propane tanks off is like leaving a bomb in front of a kindergarten, in front of a school, and going, "This is an interesting idea." There are lots of places that you can go, and I think just about any gas station, and certainly any that sell propane, will take the tanks off your hands. So dropping them off on the side of the street. Why doesn't that surprise me? The sad reality is so many people find this kind of behavior comical. And, it's kind of like, you think about it. One person dropping a can, like a can, the plastic rings on the ground. One person dropping them is not a big problem. Okay. Well, one of the things you have to realize is one person doing it doesn't matter much. 8 billion people doing it, and we've got something called Garbage Island out in the middle. I think it's in the middle of the Pacific. Although, in all honesty, it could be in the middle of the Atlantic. It's a mile wide. It's a mile wide dump. Okay. It's a massive island that is just garbage. And this is the way the human race is treating its own planet. The planet you have to live on. Okay. This is the thing that doesn't add up for me. And if we concentrate, if we focus our efforts on this kind of stupidity and this kind of denial, okay, oh, God's going to sort it out, or the aliens are going to come down. Why don't they come down and clean up our mess if they're that concerned, that interested in us? Well, how about a novel thought? How about cleaning up your own mess? I was going through the park a couple of years ago, and I saw 15 kids sitting around in a group, and I dealt with kids all the time. Many of them had troubled homes. Okay. And I'm walking by the bunch of them, and I treated them like I do everybody else. So I turned around, and I'm looking at the bunch of them, and I say, hey, guys. I said, because I looked at the garbage 5 feet from the garbage can. I looked at the bunch of them, and I said, hey, guys, you guys are going to make absolutely perfect adults. And the one of them looks at me and goes, well, thank you very much. I said, it wasn't a compliment. See, the sad part is, the robots are a great thing. Do not get me wrong. They're a great tool. I won't own one, but that's because I short the poor things out and I don't see the point in spending money on it. On the other hand, I will quite readily get up and put my own garbage in a garbage bag or in a garbage can. The sad reality is there's all sorts of changes we could make. But the massive majority of people in the world today, the massive majority, and I know there's a lot of you that don't fit this bill, but understand something very, very important. If it does not apply to you, do not take it on. Like there's a lot of people that sit in the background in the chat rooms. I know this. Okay. And I don't have any problem with that at all. I do myself. It does not make sense what a lot of people do. They'll sit there. Well, a lot of people will sit there in the background and just listen. What I never understood is how it can be enjoyable to sit and watch somebody play a video game. And there's no problem there. The reality, Steve, Steve's just I do more listening than commenting. Absolutely. And, and the one thing to keep in mind for those of you that are just joining us, if you've got a question, if you've got a comment, even if it's not in the same chain, the same topic that we're discussing, drop it into the chat room, preferably in all caps so I can find the thing, at least partial caps or even the wavy hand to get my attention. Okay. Now, yes, I can get a little sidetracked to say the least. By no means am I perfect. Okay. You want to see somebody that does, in my opinion, does a bang-up job does a bang up job on tracking the different chat rooms. Okay. You drop in on this one. This is where I got reinitiated. This is not the first stream that I got onto. Okay. But Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio is where I end up kicking in, and many of you guys really pushed the envelope to get me to come live. And I'll tell you, it's because of that I withheld, that I avoided just shutting down categorically. In all fairness, had I not talked to a couple of people, my other half included, about what I was feeling with what's been going on with this room, had it not been for her input and the input of a few others, I would have just categorically shut this stream down and said, scrap it. I just about did. Okay, I will continue. I've got, like I said, another 44 videos that most of them I will put up over the next number of months, while I'm looking for a program that I can make more. And of course the newsletter will continue growing. Okay, I just have to do a couple of things with it to make certain it stays that way. Yeah, it's amazing. I was talking to Dave the other day, and I don't know if we're into our 9th year or our 10th year now. Okay, with Dave, but that has been a ride and a half. And with that in mind, the party in Reno, I am planning on being at this May. The reality is, if the government doesn't shut down the border again, I'll be there, if it's at all possible. There is no question I can be, shall we say, a little outspoken. Okay, but yeah, see, and that's just it. I'm not about to start charging for here. It's just not one of the options I've got. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And we have Nathan in the house with the Quantum Show. And where are we? Nathan, there we are. This is the link to Nathan's show. So, and we pop that in. So drop by, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, just absolutely give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay, the reality of it is that I am doing my level best to keep this thing running without giving myself another heart attack. I've had enough of those, but thanks. Well, that's one way of clearing it. Lunar goes, during the holidays, I unsubscribe from everyone again. I've got to do that with this funny little detail. I've got email addresses and phone numbers in here that, aside from my parents, who I will never phone again, something to do with the fact they died. Okay. But I'm going through it and wiping out contacts that I've got that I don't either. They're problem children. I don't have any connection to them. That sort of thing. But I am streamlining. I'm wiping out all the excess clutter. Okay. Now, the same thing is going to happen here. Unfortunately, what I call unnecessary clutter are the problem children, not just the newcomers that come in. There are people that have never been here before that I still desire the door to be open for them to feel that this is a safe place to come. Not that I've got all the answers. Okay, I've got all my answers, and you can bet your bottom dollar. If I'm telling you this is what I'm doing, okay, if I'm telling you this is what I'm doing, then that literally means that I'm going to keep, that's what I do. It works for me. Many of the methods I use, I don't recommend. I mean, let's face it. I'm still listed as epileptic, but I found a cure for it that I recommend you don't try. I had a fatal seizure, as in, had a seizure so bad it stopped my heart. Doctors had to bring me back. After they brought me back, I haven't had a seizure since. I think it's a good move. A little bit of a radical approach, and I don't recommend it, by the way. But what does matter is when I take a look at this, I'll be going through through the newsletter and making sure there were a number of things I was looking at that I was going to be adding to it. Now it's time to start popping them in and putting the articles in where they belong. So that'll be, today is what is today? 12th, I think. Oh, there we go. Yeah, today's 12th. So I've got 5 days because I desire to get the news and to get the February edition of Positive Perspectives out on the 17th. Okay, which gives me 5 days to finish tying it together. Which that's a lot of time, and I will tell you one thing about pulling the plug on the stream is that it would have freed up 14 hours a week. No, that's wrong. Well, yeah, would have been about 14, maybe, well, could have been as much as 18 hours a week in which to do my writing. Okay, but the reality is I've actually got to figure out how to move this stuff along. Now I do have certain goals, and one thing you will find, one of the things I'm going to be doing here is because I've got a number of really solid people now that are stepping in and going, look, let's make sure this is safe for everybody. Because most of you are absolutely great. Most of you really are. Okay. Problem is that there are a few tiny-brained, tiny-hearted people that seem to enjoy making life miserable. Not just for everybody else, but quite seriously, bearing in mind, karmic law is simple. Energy out, energy in. What you put out, that's what you're getting back. Now, I will tell you, I tell people flat out, don't paint everybody with the same brush. And yet, I will tell you right off the bat, the first thing I'm going to look at when somebody says I can do this is, I can do this for X number of dollars. It'll be simple. That's great. Don't bother telling me you can do it for X number of dollars. Because I will tell you, I've worked out things in my own way where if somebody is doing something that is helping, I've already figured out how to get them and get money back. Barter is extremely important. Do not get me wrong. Money itself is just another form of barter. It's just, in my eyes, it's a lot easier to move a $5 bill around than a chicken. Besides that, you have to spend the $5 to keep the chicken alive. So I mean, this is just the reality behind it. So, is money the root of all evil? No. Fear is. Okay, but the reality is we have to have fear and love. Question for you, which one are you going to feed? Which one of those two mutts are you going to feed? I heard it put in a North American Indian tradition that mankind, that every person alive, every one of them, has two dogs. Okay, has two wolves fighting inside them. One is angry, mad, violent, and one is loving, caring, very, very helpful. And the question is, which one is going to survive? The one you feed is the one you're going to survive, that's going to survive. Oh, that is fantastic, Lunar. Lunar's just saying someone down and donated a set of curtains. My music room looks great. It looks nicer. My living room, when I first moved in here a decade ago, was literally furnished by donation. We have something here in the apartment I live in that we call lobby shopping. People bring stuff down, leave it in the lobby, and quite often I'll go down, collect it up, and because I take first dibs, really. As soon as I see it, if it's small enough I can move it, then I'll take it down to my apartment. It'll either get used or I will find somebody that can use it. Could I turn around and figure out how to sell stuff on Facebook and sell secondhand stuff? Certainly I could. The reality of it for me is technology and I don't get along well. So I look at it going, okay, how am I going to deal with this and make this work? Oh, that reminds me. Take this fine little sheet here. I'm going to be working again, probably late into the night. I will likely be working late into the night again tonight because, well, I apparently don't sleep. I have gotten past the idea of thinking I'm oversleeping. I'm getting here's an idea to give you an idea just how bad off my nerves went the other day. Take that, pop that up there. On Thursday, as in yesterday. Okay, yesterday was great. I got an hour and a half sleep, and that was it between midnight and midnight. Okay, this is what I mean by I don't exactly sleep too much, but I do have this neat little hiccup where I end up sleeping broken. Go to sleep broken, wake up broken. It's kind of great. But for those of you that are interested, one of the things I am including in positive perspectives is I am going to be including articles that are passed on to me, that are sent in, that are written by other people. Now, do understand something before anybody gets carried away with it. Am I going to pay for them? Point blank, no. Okay, and the reason I'm not is because I'm also not going to charge for them. Okay, but does it mean if somebody sends me an article talking about something that somebody did that was nice, like, I don't care if it's something like, let's say Bob. Okay, Bob and Barb. And Bob and Barb got married. Okay, if you send me a blurb that says, these two people got married, I don't have a problem posting it. Okay, they got married. Okay, the reality of it is that from that standpoint, all I need when you're sending an article in, all I need is a letter from the article, obviously, a letter from you stating that this is that you've got the right to publish this, or it's your stuff. Okay, and let's face it, if you see that so-and-so got married, clearly just telling, because I won't be putting down, oh, they got married at this address. Okay, I will absolutely, it makes sense to go, oh, Bob and Barb in Reno, Nevada got married. Well, let's face it, Reno is a pretty big place and a fair chunk of people in it. Am I going to ever answer questions that are specific about people without that person's absolute explicit go-ahead? Not a snowball's prayer. And for those of you that are thinking that, oh, I'm trying to set things up so that we can have, donations to charity, absolutely. But what I won't do is when I talk about giving to charity, I will never give money to the church or to any registered charity, except food going to the food bank or pet shelters. Okay. Other than that, I won't be donating money anytime to any of your registered charities, don't bother with it. Okay. Because from my standpoint, it just doesn't work well. Okay. First of all, the massive majority of the money of any donation you make, from what I've understood by the research I've done, and yes, I phoned a lot of charities, okay, to find out how much money from those charities actually go to the charitable foundation, to the actual plan, the actual focus that they're talking about. And I cannot tell you which one because I can't remember. The best one I ever saw took 30% on the 30 cents on the dollar to actually help the people they claim to be helping. I've heard of some that are helping the poor with all of their donations. And 1%, 1 penny out of every dollar you send them goes to the people that are saying they're going to help. Okay. Now, I will tell you, I get money that somebody says, and this is something I'm going to put in the newsletter. It's that simple. Okay. That this is the money. This is where the parameters of who will get it. And I will tell you, I'm not ever, the way the law is set up right now, I will never have a board of directors. Okay. It's not going to happen. Karmic law is real simple. Energy out, energy in. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And be true to yourself first. Now, here's the thing. And the reason I won't, and people have asked me, why don't you start a nonprofit? Because the hint is in the name. Non-profit. If I'm going to work, I'm going to find a way to generate money. Okay. I don't have a problem with the idea of land taxes. I have a problem with the idea of if you make above X amount of dollars, you don't have to pay taxes. I have a problem with that because, to my way of thinking, if you're making $100,000 a year, you can afford the taxes. If you're making $5,000 a year, you can barely afford to eat. Why are you having to pay taxes on it? But there's a lot on that one, and we're just not going to go down that rabbit hole. Okay. I mean, I've been known, even when I was completely broke, which is quite often, by the way, I've been known to walk into a restaurant and go, okay, see that table? I don't care why, I don't ask what it is. Bring me the bill from that table. Okay. And the fact of the matter, well, what I do is I'll walk in, I'll talk to the waitress and go, that table over there, are they drinking? Are they drinking alcohol? And of course, the person will go, the waitress will go yes or no. And, the reality of it is I'll turn around and go, okay, they're not drinking, bring me their bill. And I'll pay the bill off and then walk out. And that's just me. I do the same thing in a grocery store. Okay. And the reason for it is because that's just the way I look at life. Okay. I'm not saying it's the best way to do things. I'm saying it's the way I do them. And this is why, if people have questions, absolutely, there are certain topics I won't touch here. Okay. When I'm talking about the energetic paranormal, these are all tied to the same thing. This is the energy I'm putting out. This is the way I operate. This is not necessarily the only way other people operate. Okay. Wonder why. Oh, I know, because I blew that up. That's why. But when you look at the world, okay, quite literally, if you desire this world to change, it is absolutely imperative that you start changing your world and let the others around you see it happen. This is the way the world changes. Now, like I said, you've seen this area behind me start clearing up. Okay, and it will continue doing so. The fact of the matter is that I look at the world and go, we have a way of being nice to each other. We really do. And there are so many good things on this planet going on. So many decent people really trying and really striving to make this world better. Okay. That, it's absolutely appalling the disaster we're in by listening to people that are saying, oh, I know what's good for you, so let's go do this. If it were that good, if they were doing that much, like how many places do you know where they literally tell you, we're taking care of the poor and the ill? No, you're not welcome here because you're ill. Now I gotta ask there, because Lunar, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're down in the States, aren't you? It's funny. I like my niece is actually a trained actress. What I don't know, is if she's still pursuing it. But no, so many places go, we help the poor. We'll help you. If you're having financial difficulty, talk to us. We'll guide you through it. No, they frankly won't. Okay. I went bankrupt twice. Okay. Once because of what I call financial creativity, and another time because my boss bounced my paycheck. I was living too close to the edge. My boss bounced my paycheck, and neither he nor the bank said anything until it was too late. In both cases, two different companies I talked to them about it, and they went, we will help you, we'll help you through this. They guided me into bankruptcy. The only people that ever make money off of bankruptcy, the only people it helps, are the bankruptcy trustee. And here's why I say that. I got into debt over my head, or at least I thought it was over my head. Okay. I got into debt by doing stupid things and committing the things I couldn't afford. So when I declared bankruptcy, I didn't pay back what I legitimately owed. The company that legitimately offered me the credit and took on the debt, that company didn't get their money either. Okay, now the reality of it is the bankruptcy trustee, first and foremost, they got their money. They made absolutely certain they got their money, but the people that deserved the money didn't get it. Now, since then, I have turned around and started laying out ways for people to avoid going bankrupt, even if you're on the edge of it. Okay, because I will tell you, going bankrupt, in my opinion, is one of the worst things that you can possibly do. Okay, there are ways to get around it, but you got to remember, you didn't get into that debt overnight in all likelihood, unless you did something absolutely dense, in my opinion, and bought something that somebody else told you could afford and didn't actually show you whether or not that would work. Now, did I go into debt and do I still owe more on a car than it's actually worth? Yeah. But I will run that car into the ground, giving it regular maintenance. Okay. I will run that car into the ground before I'll upgrade it at this point. Okay. There is no point in my eyes. But what we have to realize is, like, I used to be 246 pounds. I got it in my head. I wasn't hitting 250. I'm now down. I don't know exactly how far down, but last I checked, I was 191 pounds. Okay. In other words, something in the neighborhood. Well, I don't even know what it is offhand. 2.245. Where are we? Where did my calculator go? There it is. See, this is why I should have grabbed that. Okay. 191 divided by 2.245. 85 key. Okay. For those of you in Canada, I still deal in pounds, right? But I'm now down to 85 kilos. I used to be at 246 divided by 2.245 equals, used to be 109 key, meaning I am down, well, I'm down 60 pounds. Okay. But I didn't do it using medication. I did this weird thing that the modern doctors tell you doesn't work. I cut back on the amount I ate and I increased the amount I was moving. Okay. It did not happen overnight. It happened over years. Now it's taken me 2 years to drop that, and I will continue dropping it. Okay. Now, I didn't quite get to what I was aiming for last year. I got close, right? I was aiming for 180. At this point, I looked into it a little further, and I'm looking now this year. One of these goals that I've got, okay, this is my list of 12 goals for the year. Okay, one of them is to drop to 170 pounds. And I will tell you this, you drop the weight, you're going to feel better. Your energy is going to be higher. Health problems will in all likelihood, minimize themselves. But it takes effort. Okay. I mean, I remember, like, I watch what people are saying. We've got this company, it's great stuff. You got to buy this product. Understand, a product is only useful if it actually does any good for you. Now, the reality of it is, from my standpoint, I look at it this way. If something feels wrong, and this is where that neat little issue of the paranormal, the sort of normal. For me, I am sort of normal. Very sort of. Most of them are. In all fairness, Steve, most people are. And this is why I ended up writing this. I really don't have to get up to go that far, because now I've got them sitting. Oh, I do. I turned around, Steve, and wrote this. Okay. Believe in your finances and follow your dreams. This book itself is literally the backbone of how I took my finances and turned them around. And here's the neat little kicker to it. Okay. There's lots of books out there that'll tell you how to handle your money, how to make money if you've got $50,000. Okay. That book is designed for if you've got 5. Okay. Now, the reality of it is, when you take a look at the people that are driving, this is my home. Most of the people that have their home are renting it from the bank. Okay. Most people that are driving a car are renting it from the bank. Okay. It's just that simple. Okay. Yeah, they've got it. But unfortunately, they're up to their eyeballs in debt. And as Steve pointed out, most of them are just a paycheck away from being homeless. Okay. Now, I figured out how I went, and this is just the way I'm doing things. As my money increases, okay, I've got a certain amount that I've got to have to make ends meet. For me to keep a roof over my head. Once I hit that number, I will be looking at turning 80% of the surplus back over to customers, clients, strangers, contributors. Doesn't matter. What do we got? Lunar goes, a historical landmark just burned to the bay just after Top Chef was featured on the show. Yeah, and that, unfortunately, historical landmarks, there is no replacing them. And the number of idiots that are out there, and I use that term quite readily. Oh, that is unfortunate, really, Lunar. When you've got an historical landmark like that, You know, when you've got a landmark like that that goes down, you know, it leaves a hole. It can never be replaced. Okay, you can't rebuild it. It's no longer possible. This is why I take a look at these geniuses and go, "Oh, we're going to destroy this artwork." Why? To what end? Mind you, I look at the people that are like, for instance, the Hockey Hall of Fame. You put somebody in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and they get there because they were a really good hockey player. Okay, now why, pray tell, do you turn around and pull them out of it because their personality is a little off kilter? If they got in there legitimately, okay, then why not leave them in the Hall of Fame? They were there because of their hockey. And do understand, I don't watch hockey. I don't even enjoy hockey. But the Hockey Hall of Fame is because of their physical prowess in hockey, not because they were the best person on the planet. See, now no, we won't go there. I just about put my foot in my mouth on that one. You know, the reality of it is that there are so many people that go, "Oh, I don't agree with this, so we're going to write that out of the history books. We're going to ban this book because, oh, it doesn't say exactly what I want it to say." I'm not entirely certain, but that seems to be somewhat counterproductive, unless you're trying to drive the world into a bucket. Okay, the number of people I see. See, I suffered at the hands of a serial arsonist. Back in 1996. No, wait a minute. Yeah, 1996. I was still married, and somebody lit my house on fire while I was in it. Now, that was the fifth house in a string of 13 that got lit that night. No, we all got out alive. Didn't burn the house to the ground either. Thankfully, there was a police officer, and I have no idea who he was, but thankfully he woke us up, and we got the fire under control before it took the house out. Needless to say, I was very happy I didn't have to move. You know, I mean, I have a very simple outlook on life. Okay, it's simply put, like I said, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. If you desire a better world for your kids, if the idea is you got here, it's time to leave this place in better shape than it was in when you got here. Now, unfortunately, the massive majority of people don't do that. Okay, the massive majority of people have been taught, guess what? Instant gratification, you know, instant prosperity with no effort. And by the way, no responsibility. Okay, I'm telling you, this doesn't work. I've watched it happen in Rome. I've watched it happen with the monarchies. Oh, Lunar, do me a favor, for me personally, that is. And thank your brother, thank the department that your brother's working for their efforts. Because it's those people I would love to see sitting around having coffee if they don't have a fire to put out. But those are the people that are putting their lives on the road. They're putting their lives on the line so that people like me can survive stupid things like that or just accidents. Okay, this is why, from my standpoint, that kind of a job, you know, is absolutely fantastic. I know it takes a lot of work. And Lord knows, I don't fear fire. And if I didn't have a bad leg, then I'd be more inclined to go and do something about it. Go and do something about volunteering in a fire because I don't fear it. I play with fire. Only when it's available at this point. When I was a kid, I used to play with it all the time. Of course, my father taught us how fire worked. But this room, I absolutely, like this stream, I absolutely desire to see it grow. And I'm going to continue pushing to get it to grow. Okay. Quite honestly, it's because of the support I get from you guys in here. And absolutely, if you happen to, even if you're not a moderator, if you spot somebody that is a problem, okay, let us know, please. It is going to take the entire community to make sure this place stays safe for everybody. Now, sometimes people will say something that is a bit of a, is a bit of a hiccup. Okay, whether somebody in the room in this room is certain to say something about somebody's outfit or what have you, I cannot, we can't stop that from happening. People have opinions, but we can certainly kill conversations in that venue. Okay. Now, I will tell you, like I was asked years ago, if you had one person, if you could talk to one person, that you would like to talk to, who would it be? My immediate reaction was it was literally one of the biggest names on death row at the time. Okay. And no, I found out the hard way. I'm not telling you who that was. In private, I'd tell you who it was, but not on YouTube, not on this stream. But the reality is, the fact that people end up in trouble is quite often, most of the time it's their own doing. Okay. But I will tell you, if we turn around, okay, if we choose to turn around and start promoting the positive things in the world, oh, absolutely. He was absolutely caught. He was incarcerated and died in prison. Okay, like he's deceased now, so clearly I won't be talking to him. Mind you, I never had the clearance. I was never going to be able to talk to him anyway. Okay, but I was asked if I had the option. But yes, he got caught. A very, what are we? Yeah, absolutely. LA's just going, we can investigate. Nobody who doesn't need to be booted will have a problem. Absolutely. And that's the whole idea. And thank you so much for that, LA. The reality is that this has to remain a safe place for everybody, newcomers and, if you will, seniority, the old timers, if you will. I don't know what the right word is for it. Don't care what the right word is for it. But this place has got to remain safe for everyone. Okay. And yes, there are a couple of things that I really do have to point out because we had the problem in here the other day. Okay. Very important in my eyes because it almost set me off. Myself, am I Christian in as much as I believe in God? I believe in Christ. Absolutely, I do. You'll never take that away from me. Not with what I've seen. Does that mean you can have that you're the only way to be ahead? The only value is what I have to say. Not a snowball's prayer. Not a prayer. Okay. Everybody is entitled to their own belief. Are they entitled to sit down? Are any people entitled to sit down and say, my belief is the only one you can follow? There are places you can do that. They just aren't here. Okay. I know people that will turn around and go, I am Christ returned. I have a great big compound, great big fenced compound. We've got armed guards to protect you, and just give us all your money because money's evil. Think about that. Number one, does that sound anything like a savior that you know of? Does it sound anything at all like that? Okay, if the person is that nice, yeah, it is possible. I mean, somebody could turn around and shoot me. Lord knows they've thought about it. I've had in my lifetime, I've had 1, 2, 3 guns actually pulled on me and 1 knife. Now, I have no idea how I would react at this point having had the stroke. Before the stroke, I confuse people. But if you're going to follow somebody, and absolutely, there are people in this chat room that have said, hey, I believe in God. Fantastic. Okay. There are people that do not, they believe in God by a different name. Or they believe they don't follow mainstream religion. They follow the pagan religions. They are all equally of equal value. And not a one of you should feel that you can't believe in what you will on that end. But every one of you, myself included, I do not tolerate the idea of you have to follow this belief. If you don't believe in this, you're evil. No. You see, the reality is, if God loves everybody by any name, okay, then he loves everybody. Derek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Derek, I gotta ask, maybe I'm absolutely dumber than a bag of hammers. Okay, but what, pray tell, do you mean by get to the chopper? He writes in, get to the chopper, everybody down, do it now. Okay. Now, I'm old. Okay. So are you referring to a helicopter or a motorcycle? And which one? My brother used to tell me, we were driving by a street and by a car lot. My brother used to point out the window, and bear in mind, I was colorblind growing up. He'd point out the window and go, oh, thank you, Derek. My brother would point out the window at a car lot we were going by. Oh, look at the blue car. I wouldn't look at it. He'd go, why didn't you look at the blue car? I'm like, which one? Well, somebody better be versed in it. I remember years ago I was doing, yeah, okay. I did watch that. The Predator, that critter is based on the Modocs. Okay. But I remember watching that, but before, like years ago, before we actually had ejection seats for helicopters, about 5 years earlier, there was a there was a gentleman I was doing readings for a grad class, and this kid come up to me, grade 12. He goes, I says, okay, so I'm looking at this. It shows you've got a lot of interest in the manufacturing and safety industry. I says, we're talking about a pretty wide area. Just to cut down on time, what are you thinking? He goes, well, I'd like to put ejection seats into a helicopter. I says, great. I said, that's a fantastic. He says, I love helicopters and I love safety. I love aircraft mechanics. I says, great. So what were you planning to do with the helicopter or with the ejection seat? And he goes, well, you fired out the top. I looked at him and I bust out laughing. I says, well, I will give you this. Your pilot will not die by the crash. Well, and he goes, why not? I says, because think about it. Where are the props? And he goes, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. I said, you might want to consider it before proposing that. So what he turned around and did, I can't say he did it, but 5 years after he was supposed to graduate, helicopters came up with 2 ejection seats. Okay. One went out through the top, but it blew the props first. Props were no longer in the way. Ejection goes off, guy gets away safe. The second option was, as you're pulling the ejection, 2 bars drop down right beside the helicopter, beside the helmet, and then fired it out sideways. Again, pilot survived. And we're just looking here. Derek goes, fun fact, my member was an ejection seat specialist for F-14 Tomcat fighters, and fighter jets, helicopters, and other jets. She was also a jet mechanic. Fantastic, Derek. My father had the same thing. He was an aircraft mechanic. And Derek goes, she was the first woman fighter jet mechanic from the state of New York. Nice. That is absolutely fantastic. And again, people that say, oh, she's a woman, she shouldn't be doing that. Why not? Okay. The reality of it is that somebody's gender does not dictate whether or not they can do a job. Absolutely they do, Derek. And we have a new member here. Derek Cook, I have not seen you before, but welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. The answer to your question is yes, they do. ETs have pets. I mean, if you take a look at the Udina, you've got the octopus. Okay. You look at the Muldocs, they brought with them, quite by accident in all fairness, they brought with them the chupacabra. Okay. But virtually every race have pets. I understand. Yeah, well, the good news is we're going to continue, and like I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you've been here today. But I do have over 30, well, I found another 44 videos that are already pre-recorded. Well, I recommend LA. I honestly recommend that the women stay out of the men's washroom. But, no, the reality is if you've got the skill, and I'm a firm believer, if somebody has the skill, okay, give them the job. If they can do it better than other people, give them the job. Pay them the same amount. Yeah, Derek, just to bring you up to speed, we've had a rash of problems with trolls. With trolls recently. To the point I almost shut this stream down, but we bypassed that. More to the point, we're dealing with it head on. But the idea here, Derek, is for this to be a safe place for everybody. Okay, whether you're a newcomer, whether you've been here for a long time, doesn't matter. Okay, and just so you're well, if you've listened to the stream before, if you've got a question, absolutely pop it in. Okay, I will be, by the way, that's one of the other little projects I got on the go. I just have to get money moving properly to do it. But I will be on top of the races I've been dealing with. I will be getting the artwork done for some of the pets that are available. Okay. And no, sorry, as far as I'm aware, you cannot get an off-world pet from a pet store. At least not on this planet. But there is a lot of change going on. Like I mentioned at the end of last year, I'm hitting the deck running this year. Net result, this mess behind me. Oh, nice. Now, I gotta ask, Lunar, because Charles Schultz almost sounds like Charlie Brown. I can't remember what his name actually was. I was actually listening to those two songs just yesterday, as in Charlie Brown and the Red Baron, and the Christmas version of it. Okay, but I still enjoy that, and the helicopter, my dad used to work on the search and rescue helicopters. And in Comox, where I grew up, they still have one of his helicopters in the museum area there. It's not an indoor museum, but you don't have to have a helicopter inside you don't have to have it inside a building. You know, the reality of what's going on with this world is we have to, as a community. Now, this is only, this stream is only. Oh, that's why. Thank you very much, LA. That would be why the name pops up. The reality of it is this community here is a tiny microcosm of what is out there. Okay. What am I looking at here? Nice. Now now I'm comfortably over right now I'm comfortably over the 580 mark. And yes, I am aiming this year because of the fact I've managed to work past that real annoyance. I love some of the icons you come up with there, Ferret. But we're now at 585. By the end of this year, I'm hoping to break 1,000. But I'll keep you posted as far as that goes. The idea here is very simple. People have to have a safe place where they can come for support, for encouragement, that doesn't say, hey, do it my way or you're going to die. I'm going to save you a whole lot of hassle. I don't care how you do it. You're going to die. It's going to happen at some point. Some of us just try it a lot more often. So if I sound like I take death a little nonchalant, well, dead 4 times, clinically dead 4 times by the time I hit 10, 5 times since, and a 6th one that's possible. Oh, Derek, one of the first games I ran into was what amounts to 0G wall ball. Okay, as in they play with 6 walls to bounce off. Okay, but they have many games that are very similar. They actually have, let me see if I can pull it up. I have to pull that up. Let's bring up open. I need Races of the World. Browse. What I'm doing is pulling up volume 2 because it's got an addition to it. I mean, not Yldrbac row. What's that? Race of the Worlds. Might be in here. What? Care to bring it up online? There we are. Do I not have that in here? Oh, there we go. Okay. In answer to your question there, Derek. And yes, I will be including as much information in them as I can. They have a game called, 3 of the games that I know of that I can tell you about, okay, are something called TTIC, which literally is triphasic transdimensional interspatial conquest, also known as diplomatic chess. Okay, and it basically plays the same way chess does, with the exception that on top of being able to move, you can take a piece out of phase for a predetermined amount of time. Okay, that's one game. Then we have, there we go. That 0G wall ball that I was talking about, they call it wormholer. Okay, and then you have the other thing that so many people are dealing with today, the Xenoexion intercordian, also known as an interspecies social mixer. As in, let's go have a party. And yes, they have their own versions of alcohol and drugs. And I still will tell you, the drugs that are illegal, do yourself a favor, you don't need the hassles. Okay, you really don't require it to enjoy yourself. And yes, I used to drink a 26er a night and I quit counting cocaine lines at 6. Yeah, I just quit counting them. Didn't stop doing them, I just didn't count anymore. Of course, it is possible at that point I couldn't count anymore. You know, and yeah, things like pro wrestling, football, yes, I did. I used to do it quite regularly. Matter of fact, I literally knew, I partied with one of the importers, knew where the second one lived, and I knew the area the third one did. Yeah, nobody said I was bright, Ferret. Forrest Louie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Like I said, I've never been arrested. I've never even gotten a ticket for speeding. This doesn't mean I didn't speed. Okay. But, well, the neat part there, Ferret, I was actually diagnosed mentally retarded. You know, when I was just a munchkin, I was diagnosed mentally retarded. Do I have a wide vocabulary? Yeah, I do. They diagnosed me mentally retarded at 2 years old, at 20 months old. Yeah, that's the neat part, Forrest. I didn't deal coke, I just used it. I also didn't pay for it, by the way. Don't ever let somebody tell you empathy is not a useful talent. But no, the reality is, I was diagnosed mentally retarded. My father said I'd been tested with an IQ in excess of 180. And one chap I was talking to in particular, one chap I talked to in particular figured if my IQ was lower than 200, I was having a bad day. Myself, I consider myself an idiot most of the time. But, the reality of it is, it's not so much I like living on the edge as I don't know where the edge is. People keep telling me I have to, you got to learn to think outside the box. I keep looking around going, where, pray tell, did they put the box I'm supposed to think out? Depending on who you talk to. My dad said I was tested by the military with an IQ in excess of 150. Okay. I always figured if I had an IQ over 80, I was doing good. One chap with a consistently tested IQ in excess of 200, well, he literally had it tested at 240, said he told me himself, and he did not clinically test me. I just happened to work with him and talked to him for a long time. He was a client, and he literally told me it was 200. It was 200 on a bad day. Now I have no functional idea. I do know in the real world, as in dealing with computers, dealing with the material world, mechanical, I'm pretty much hooped. Okay, I really am. Where it comes to understanding the way people operate, that I seem to have a functional understanding of. That, yes, I will say this is what I'm seeing, but you got to remember, I have had in excess of 150,000 clients over my lifetime. Okay. And apparently that's not stopping anytime soon. So when I talk about people in general think this way, it's based on my own database, not what I found out from reading something. Okay. Yeah. Forrest is going, I was diagnosed highly dyslexic with hypertension, hypersensitivity, and hyperactivity. My IQ today is 142. But I'm right. Yeah. Unfortunately, the way I never learned to bite my tongue. So it's not a question of I go, oh, I got this IQ, I'm better than you. No, I'm really not better than any one of you. The only thing I've got over many people is I look at every single person, no matter what race, no matter what species. That means animal, plant, human, any of the other races on this planet, any of the off-worlders or ancient races. I look at you all literally the same way. And when I say you're all children, I mean you literally are all children. You had a mother and a father in a binary world where males and females are the co-creators. Okay, every one of you is a child. Okay, your parents may be deceased, you may not even like your parents. Doesn't mean you aren't a child. Okay. Um, Ferret, that is quite possible. What? Oh, okay. I will tell you what. I will stick around this time, but I'm gonna go get a drink first. Um, don't worry, I'm looking for coffee, hopefully. But I will be right back. And yeah, honestly, there, Ferret, I will stick around. Normally, I shut her down in like 15 minutes here, but we'll see how long it goes. I can feel the throat having fun, but we'll see what happens. Okay, give me a minute. I'll be right back. Well, that was clearly a pleasant surprise. I actually still had coffee left. So my first pot of coffee, it took a while, but I finally finished off my first pot of coffee today. Where are we here? Oh, it is Friday night. Okay. The important factor from my standpoint is this. Okay. And I keep looking at the world going, there are, well, there's certainly nothing wrong with happy talk. So many people will sit there and they'll sit on they'll sit down and they will, like, literally billions of people on this planet. I don't know how many billions. I know there's just over 8 billion humans on the planet. But so many of them will sit down and listen to somebody sit there and go, Oh, you're all going to die. You're all sinners. You're going to go to hell. Well, you may go to hell. Okay, I'm telling you, the hot tubs, in my opinion, way too hot. But the deep tissue massages are literally to die for. But the fact of the matter is that every person on the planet, okay, every person on the planet is going to die at some point. Some of us we can't get it quite right. You know, it's like I told a guy one day, he said he was a practicing Catholic. Okay. And I asked him point blank what he got wrong. Now, in my case, I'm a practicing corpse. I have died, as in physically, clinically, heart stopped cold, the whole 9 yards. 9 times that I'm aware of, and a possibility of attempts. Still working on that one. Okay. And, the reality of it from that standpoint is, it's what I call, I saw a post on Facebook the other day. Absolutely priceless. And all it was a picture of 2 crows. Okay. Just 2 crows sitting there beside each other. But the caption, the caption that was on it was attempted murder. Now, if you understand that joke, you'll understand why that was funny. When I read that, I almost spit my coffee out. That for those of you that don't know what that and why that would be comical, it's because a flock of crows is referred to as a murder. Okay. Now, that's why 2 crows are only attempted. They didn't get very far. It's kind of like the actual definition I heard years ago, and this came from my brother. Now, bear in mind, my brother had a tested IQ in excess of 180, and he described lemmings as hamsters with suicidal tendencies. Now, see, I can only drink coffee after it cools down a little because I've tried drinking when it's hot. Oh, she drinks the wet half there, LA. I keep telling people, you want to really show me something fascinating. Show me a half a cup of coffee where you're only actually filling the top half. Without putting something in the bottom of the cup. But no, I listen to the number. I talk to so many people. Oh, nice, Lunar. That's absolutely fantastic. I think I saw that. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Lunar, but that was by Alfred Hitchcock, was it not? The show, the movie, The Birds. Actually, I think it was a book first. But no, the reality of the world is we have to start focusing on having people sitting, listen to people that say, hey, yes, you may have made a mistake. You may have screwed something up along the line. Take ownership for what you did ineffectively and stop doing it, if at all possible. Okay, now I will tell you, quitting an addiction is a very difficult thing to do in most people's cases. Okay, I will come back to that at a future date again, but I did discover a way that anybody, if you've got a half hour of free time and a little bit of dedication, if you desire to quit drinking, drugs, drinking of any form, but I recommend, drinking alcohol, doing illicit drugs, if you're having troubles with eating, okay, where you're addicted to something, I don't care what it is. I found a way that you can actually cure yourself. Now, do understand something. Okay. Do a very important factor here. If you are seeing a doctor, a psychologist, a counselor, I don't care. If you've got help that is working, keep going. If it's not working, I will tell you, I do know a method where you can cure any one of the above. And I did say cure, yes. Okay. It works. What I've seen it do is work for anybody that desires to stop these behaviors of their own accord. Okay. And no, I'm not going to tell you got to send me $5,000 so I will tell you. Not going to happen. Okay. You got about 15 seconds here, and I'll go back through this again later. Okay. But literally, find a recording device, a phone, a tape recorder, a CD. If you want to go back to the old days, I don't care how you do it. Okay. But find a recording device of some form in your own voice. You literally repeat. I'm just going to use alcohol as an example. Okay. In your own voice, you literally go, I no longer desire to drink alcohol. Period. That's it. I no longer desire to drink alcohol. Repeat that in your own voice, in solid diction, for a half hour straight. That's the boring part. Now, this works if you desire to do this for you. Okay. If somebody else is telling you that you got to do it and you don't agree, the odds are you're going to run into hiccups. Once you've got it recorded, okay, turn around, and every time, once you're ready to go to sleep, you're finished reading, you're finished doing whatever you're doing, you're finished watching movies, you're ready to go to sleep, okay, put the recording device beside you and beside your bed and play it. Okay, you just leave it run while you're drifting off to sleep. Okay, and you just let it run the cycle. And here's why it works. The two most effective times to program your own brain is just as you're falling asleep or just as you're waking up. Well, clearly, if you're just waking up, you've got to be awake a long way to be able to turn it on. This is why you do it as you're drifting off. Okay, with that in mind, you let it play. That half hour every night, play it again and again. Okay, half of that one recording, day in and night after night. Average turnaround time is literally 21 days. Okay, if you miss a day, start over on day one on the count. Okay, the way it works is you literally program your brain to quit desiring the alcohol, regardless of what you're going through. Now, it may take longer than 21 days, but all it does is it goes, no, I don't desire that drink. So you go to reach for it, you're going, no, I really don't want it. It's not something I desire anymore. Okay, and what'll happen over time is you'll quit drinking altogether, and you'll no longer have to deal with that. Oh, give me the bottle, and you drink whatever comes available. I knew a guy that was so badly addicted to alcohol. We used to call him, when I was working in Dairy Queen, we used to call this guy the Aqua Velva Man. And the reason we called him that was because that was what he drank to get drunk. I don't recommend it. I mean, granted, his breath didn't smell like alcohol, but wasn't there a song about Bodega Bay there a while ago, way back in like the 60s or the 70s? See, I grew up in Comox, and at the time there were 2,500 people. It was right smack in the middle of a military base and Bible thumper country. And needless to say, growing up psychic and dealing with, as it turns out, abductions and my labs, and of course having a bad leg, I was not having a good time. You know, but what we are looking at with this world is we have a choice. We can either continue looking at the world in a negative fashion and focus on the fact that the world is a bit of a mess, or we can start altering it. And yes, in all likelihood, that means that we're going to have to turn around. That means we're going to have to turn around and start getting things moving in the right direction. I'm going to have to look at some of that. But again, guys, if you like the stream, absolutely do me a favor and give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of the thing. That'd be really appreciated. And we are starting to have people drop off the line, which makes sense because usually I shut the place down within the, at the 2-hour mark. But like I said, I am going to run just a little longer here today. The fact of the matter is that, I've got a lot of people that have stepped up and said, let's not let this die. Do your best not to let it die. So I'm doing what I can. I still have a lot of work to do tonight, but something tells me now that I've got the bed actually cleared, I might get a lot better sleep tonight as well. What do we got here? Just got to see if we've got anything going on. Where is that button? I'm just refreshing to see what my count is looking like right now. And I don't think it did anything. No, it actually dropped one, but that's okay. You don't pay attention to it in the short run. I'm absolutely certain that things are going to get a little bumpy. The reality of it is this. Okay. In my opinion, it's a very simple setup. We have a world here that we have a lot of opportunity to change. Okay. There is a lot of good here. There's a staggering amount of bad, but in all fairness, the amount of good people on this planet are mind-bogglingly overcompensating on the number side. Okay, you think about it. If 90 to 95% of the people are decent people, this means, well, let's take a look at that. This means if we go 8 times 0.95, that means only about 400 million people are problem children. Okay, given a 95% decent rate. Okay, so from our standpoint, it is time to really put the foot down and go, let's make this happen. Now, I will tell you, this is... Okay, yeah. This is, of course, as we know, this is Friday. What time are we at here? Maybe I should do it this way because I can see it easier. I got to do something about my eyesight, it would seem. But that's okay. I've got an appointment for them. There we go. The fact of the matter is, if we continue, and I strongly recommend this, and I do it myself, if you happen to listen to a negative podcast, a negative news article, you read something negative, you hear something negative, make your best effort to listen to, read, experience two things of a positive nature. Okay. Now, something to keep in mind. I enjoy my coffee in case you couldn't figure it out. Okay. But if I enjoy my coffee, then, there's something I enjoy, something of a positive nature. I can experience this quite happily. But we really have to start looking at this and going, okay, time to start making things happen. Now, this room behind me is my way of going, here is something that is changing. Okay. As a matter of fact, I've got, today is Friday, so I will probably go and do it tomorrow. But it's time to start changing things for the better. Okay. And that means literally figure out what you're not content with in life. Don't worry about what it may look like a decade down the road. Look at it right here, right now. We're taught that change is scary, it's frightening, it's painful, it's difficult. No, it really isn't. Watch this. Now, first of all, every time you hear something, think something, smell something, doesn't matter. It's a change. And unless you're writhing around in agony right now, my guess is it's not painful. Okay. If you're not happy with the pen in your right hand, put it in the left hand. Change. Easy, simple, not painful. Unless you take it from your right hand and you put it in your left hand and just kind of drive it through it. At which point, you might experience pain. As a matter of fact, I'd be more concerned if you didn't. But this is what we really have to look at. Is whether or not we are going to turn around and really focus on making this world essentially a better world. Okay. And what I mean by better does not mean anybody makes more money. Sorry, guys. Sitting on your tail feathers doesn't make you healthy, wealthy, or I forget what the other one is. But then I've got Kraft's disease anyway. Can't remember a flaming thing. It is time to take all of 2023 and put it behind you. Okay, look at 2024. This is where you are. This is where you can change something. Yeah, no doubt there, LA. LA just goes, making changes, no problem. Making the decision is the hard part. And I do agree with you. It can be a royal pain in the neck. It usually takes getting my back up against the wall for me to finally say I've had enough. Well, that was an interesting idea. Where are we? Yeah, in case you hadn't noticed, I'd love to have run it a little longer. But in case you can't tell, the throat is starting to seize up. So, guys, much as I would love to carry this on, I must say thank you. The few of you, that have stepped up and really said, do your best not to shut down and have offered me the support and encouragement. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Because I'll tell you, it was very close the other day. Okay. I really do appreciate it more than what I have words to say. I will be continuing this for the foreseeable future. And with your guys' help, we'll be able to make it happen. That said, I will be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow we are looking at self-improvement. How to literally make those changes yourself. Okay, I do appreciate that there, Derek. It's literally that issue that keeps me doing anything, even trying to make this happen. I will be back again tomorrow, and we're going to take a look at self-improvement and literally how to make it. Okay, with that in mind, until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.